Hello and welcome back. We are continuing season 28 of Building Better Developers, Developreneur. That is what this podcast is. I am Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting. We help you find clarity. When you're about to step into that big project, you're not really sure where you want to go, whether it's digital transformation or AI or whatever the next thing is. We're going to help you make sure that you get your investment right and actually get some ROI on that so you improve the chances of success. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is, I'm going to go a little bit into the AI and the cracks world a little bit here. Good thing is that AI as a developer has helped me just light speed my development. I've been able to get so many things done. All the things that were frustrating to me at times, even like configs and stuff like that. Yes, AI still has problems with it, but it's gotten a lot better of setting those things up and helping me track down, the latest APIs and how do I get the keys and all that kind of good stuff. But in exposing the cracks, this is one of those that time and again, when I start putting it together onto an application, especially an existing application, it is now something where I cannot unsee all of the things that were, sort of the technical debt things that I had before, and even if it's my own little project, whether it's documentation or deeper unit tests or, better security or whatever it happens to be. Even if I'm the only one that ever uses this app and it sits on my laptop, I just have an itch to be like, okay, let's secure the living daylights out of this. Let's do the complicated things that I was always like, nope, not going to do it because it takes too much time. I have Chip just kicks butt on that. I'm like, go do this, go do that, build me a list, or here's a list, go work on that. And then every so often I'll just poke them and say, or how's that going? How's that going? How's that going? Makes AI really good, but sometimes really frustrating because you realize how much extra work you actually still have out there. But I'm going to take some of that work off my plate and shift it over to Michael so he can introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Malash. I'm one of the co-founders of Developreneur, Building Better Developers. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we fix broken systems and replace the guesswork with tested, dependable solutions built around your business. Good thing, bad thing. Similar to you, Rob, I've been working on building a local AI system. And, the bad thing about AI is also the good thing about AI. It's quick. It allows us to get things done fast. But the problem is scope creep becomes a huge, we get into scroll syndrome. It's like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do this. And then the next thing you know, you've gone from this very focused solution to, oh, I'm building this enterprise. No, I lost track of my why. Let's get back to the why. Let's focus on what I'm working on. And I actually had to do that. I actually had to have AI go back through and rip out all the extra things I did. I basically made a version 2 that was a lighter weight version of where we were going. I branched it off and I went back to what's the why? What am I trying to get done right now? Let's get it done and move on. So be careful of those traps with AI.
And we're going to go back to the why of this podcast and get back into our conversation with Samuel. If you didn't catch episode 1, please, back up. Go back a couple days, whatever, the link right below this, depending on where you're at, and listen to that because I think it's a really good origin story, basically, for a developer. And I will give you really good background as we get into this episode and talk a little bit more about some of the lessons learned and how he applies those in his career. And yes, we're going to talk about AI, and he has some really good wisdom that he shares along the way as well. So without further ado, here we are back with Samuel. I want to switch gears a little bit here and get a little more in the technical side, because being where you're at and being where we're at in modern days, I think there's a lot of developers that are curious about the various paths that they take. And what I want to talk about here is your AI development path, especially because we have in the last, depending on how far you look back, 6 to 24 months, it has evolved quite a bit. And you mentioned, there's always something new. There's, some new technology around the corner for us to try. I'd like for you to share a little bit your journey from, your initial getting, what is AI and how do I use it, to sort of where you are, essentially to where you are now and how you use some of the modern tools.
Okay, when the topic started, it didn't surprise me because when you work in some projects or you are put in some situation, you come up with some information before the people realize that stuff is going on, stuff like that. So I just didn't expect to be that fast. The first time that I had a conversation with ChatGPT, I kind of knew that was on the works, but I didn't know it was so good that fast. So it really shocked me. But even then, I didn't realize that, later chat box could write code that fast. I didn't know those details. I just knew a little bit about the engine and stuff like that. So I think I started however everybody started, just realizing that hey, ChatGPT can write code. Let me put him in some situation and share my code, and it will fix it. And then for a couple of months, it was just like that, just like everybody, enthusiasts and professionals, we just go and let's fix my code, or let me explain, a functionality that I want. And so I would just explain it to you. You write the code. I'm just surprised how good you did. So then, slowly you start to visit Stack Overflow less and less and stuff like that, and other forums and pages. So I started like everybody started. Now, when a couple of years has passed in that experience, right? So now when you're in the industry, I don't know if people know this. If they don't, I will gonna break to them the news. So AI, and when we are talking about big enterprises company, what is happening inside around here is not the same that you see in social media. So in social media, you would think that there is an agent for everything. Like, AI agents can actually do everything, the job of thousands of developers, and they will, oh no, oh my God, you can go to Cloudy and you can put Cloudy in research mode, and you can create an agent for every single, position. And you can actually create a small company and the agents will work by themselves, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's real. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but that exists in social media, and that exists in, enthusiasts, people that actually are knowledgeable about the topic and about AI. But when you're working when you're working very big enterprise, those AI agents slowly, because first when I started, it was like really a wow factor, but then the agents or even the models themselves, like GPT, like models from Cloudy like Opus or Sonnet, they start to become less impressive as you are moving and putting that technology in some extreme situations. Just as people that we looked at like they know everything, like this guy that I'm mentioning, he slowly started to become more human, like more mortal when I started to learn, some stuff. So in reality, in big enterprises, yes, everything is AI, but not like you see in social media. When you work with very big companies, still we are not there. Like, you are not going to tell somebody, you're not going to tell a client that the software that manage thousand or even millions of dollars, now we have an agent that we're going to do that. People now, can think, oh, the client will be happy. They will go to the boss. Hey, now I'm paying for 4 consultants. Let me pay for just 2 consultants because now we have AI agent. It doesn't work like that. They don't want to hear it still. At the very least, still, if we are talking about, very, very delicate situations. So there are two entire, worlds, social media, everything that we see around that is real, that works, and these people are doing a great job. But in the enterprise, in big companies, in the client, the meetings, when we are planning to the future, the money, the budget, We're still using AI, but with a lot more caution. We still, yeah, of course, I actually write a lot less code, but that's about it. We use Opus every day. We have the model integrated with our IDE, but at the end of the day, that's about it. That's where it ends. Then we go, create a pull request normally. Now, for smaller features, like let's say, for example, the other day the client wanted a dark mode for the web browser. So actually, we took that to test agentic AI programming in production in a large client. Because what could go wrong? Just, if it does it wrong, then it will be not dark mode anymore. Well, it will be, I don't know, trash. But, we are not losing thousands, millions of dollars because of it, right? So the enterprise, the real world, not social media, not this all the Facebook, Instagram, and whatever. The real world is still very, very cautious about it, and that's basically how we're doing it.
So
But it can
I'm going to
change
bring it
tomorrow.
back a little bit, since we are talking the realities of AI and exposing the cracks, and we started out talking about the imposter syndrome. Now that AI has injected itself into our industry, into coders' daily lives, and as you said, we're using it more and more, and we're not going out and looking as much. We're not doing that deep dive research anymore. Do you see a shift in the industry coming where, and we've talked about this, but where we're going to lose some of that knowledge? We're going to have more people with that imposter syndrome because they aren't going to have that experience that we did as software developers coming up the chain. And there's two sides to this question. So that's the first one. And the second one, with the current form of AI, is AI, because of that, because we're using it more, giving people, basically making them imposters because they think they can do more than they can do. And it's putting them, they really are not capable of doing what they're trying to do.
Yeah. So your second question actually is part of the answer to the first question, because the first question is like, okay, so we are not researching, we are not learning, especially new developers, like why I will do that, because the AI will write the code for me. So does this helps? Does this add to imposter syndrome? Because then, yeah, the AI is not. I mean, Opus or Sonnet is not there with me in the meetings with the client. So then, if they ask me something, so yes, but then you add the other part was, or is the AI? Yeah, I mean, the AI is becoming very good, and we are acknowledge that. So is this helping, making people feel they know while they don't actually know? So that's part of the answer to the first question, because yes, I think if someone, I do have a friend, hello Alfredo, if you're able to see this, he's very young. So he's very young. He's a friend of the family of someone that one of my best friends. But he's the younger one of, I think, of everybody. And he studied computer science, right? And he was telling me the other day, but Sam, he actually studied video game programming, which is not exactly the same, but because we don't have like big gaming companies here in the island, he just moved to commercial programming, and he was like, but the problem, Sam, is that because AI is doing the stuff, I don't feel like I know anything. Like, okay, I will be okay as long as the AI is there, but I just vibe coding every single time. So what will happen? Or this will, for example, he likes gaming programming, and maybe I'm not this. I don't know this for sure because I'm not an expert in gaming programming. But I don't know if they do. They have something like I don't know, like obvious model inside those Unity engines. Like I don't know. And these people, the responsible people, the people that actually want to learn, does feel it will add a little bit even more of this imposter syndrome, because what actually helps with imposter syndrome is the pain. And within the first couple of years, you will not have this pain because cloud is doing your job, or any other engine. Then equal at actually based on that comment of that friend of mine, like, man, I think I don't know nothing. And what happens if I don't have the model, right? And this is another guy that is really good. You just need to understand that. Now, I think you will have the other part of it. You will have a lot of people that think they know something and they do not. And that's what cloud is. I mean, I keep saying cloudy because, that's what we are using a lot. But any other, AI tool are creating a lot of people that think they, AI has put in people that have never been productive to think that they know about something. So this is happening in the smaller company ever or the bigger company. And I think with saying that, I'm saying a lot. So people will come and they will be put in a situation when they are forced to know, because now we are brainstorming an idea to solve a problem live, and we are chatting, we are hearing our voices. Yeah, you can make a trick with an AI, to fake your voice. It's not that simple. Now you need to learn you need to know something. And all of a sudden, the software or the POC that you have been creating for the last couple of months doesn't actually match what you are saying, in the meetings. So I think the answer is both. I know that's maybe not the answer that people are looking for, but that's the reality. You will have a low amount of people that is responsible, that really want to feel that they know what they're doing. And those people, yes, maybe they will feel even more imposter syndrome, or it will be extended for a longer period of time because somebody else, this time the AI model, is doing great part of their job. But you will have a lot of people that just think they know what they're doing until they realize, hopefully not in production environment, that they don't.
I got a quick follow up to that, and then I'll pass it back to Rob because of time. But so, since we just talked about the imposter syndrome, and we just kind of went through that. What is some advice based on your experience for people that are vibe coding, that are starting to get into AI, that are basically coming up the ranks in this new generation? How would you help them prepare to be better developers without basically becoming imposters?
Yeah, becoming imposter. That's a good. It's not the same imposter syndrome than becoming imposter, but I think AI, that's a whole other topic. AI will create a lot of imposter, not people with imposter syndrome. AI will create imposters, and that's a powerful statement. But going back to your question, I think you can give. In terms of advice, it can go technical or it can go, even philosophical. Technically speaking, I will, for starters, if the AI writes me anything, I still do this. I do this every single day. I ask the AI, tell me what you did and how you did it step by step. So for example, one of our client ask us, it's not like if you like to do this, no, you need to do this. If you do this, if you do something with the AI, part of the policy is that we need to give them a plan that is created by the AI. It's that document that they come up with that will explain step by step what the AI did and why or how it reached to that conclusion. So if I were, in the position, I'm not even in the position, I still do this every day. If I don't understand these step by steps, that the AI is giving me, something's wrong. Now you're about to push a branch that you don't know how it works. And yes, it can be painful. I think one of the things that the vibe coders or the younger people need to understand is that at the very least, we understand that it's not easy to be sit on the chair with your boss, asking for updates because they expect you to be faster because AI is helping you, and your boss doesn't necessarily care how you do it. It just must be done. And you have this pressure and you are young and you have this tool that will be helpful. Why I will be, expecting to understand the step by step that the AI explaining me. So I will just push it and it will work. the majority of the times. So, so we know it's not an easy ask. But when you pass the very first, couple of years, the juniors, remember, you will not be junior forever. So yes, the first year, 2 years, you will be judged by the code. That's what the AI is so good. But then you will start reaching to a point that you will not be judged by writing code anymore, and start to think about it. Then will the AI able at the time to do that extra job that you will be judged by? Nowadays, it cannot do that. So you better be, you better prepare yourself for that time, and it will be painful, and it's not easy because we do have an easier path, but that's just how things work. So that's my very first advice, I think.
That's excellent. That's some really good stuff right there. And before we run out of time, I want to shift a little bit again. How do you see, especially because now you're in software development daily, big projects. How do you see software development itself changing as AI becomes, and especially AI assisted development becomes more and more accepted and improves a little bit on its speed as well? How do you see both the large projects and then maybe on the day-to-day, week-to-week kind of approach, especially big organizations take to doing software development?
There will be a couple of steps. I mean, there will be a longer term that maybe we don't have enough time. Maybe it's my fault because I'm talking too much. But there will be a final step. I actually wrote a little bit of article about this, but I think there will be a time that there will not even be code that we see anymore. But that will not happen yet. But I don't know if younger developers know. But when you write that code, that's not the code that the CPU reads. There is a intermediate language, and your code is compiled and then kind of translate to this intermediate language. Does anybody write intermediate language nowadays? No, we don't. We just think it will work, and it does. We don't see it. Nobody has seen that intermediate language, but it exists. I think that's why higher level language will go up to, but not yet. Maybe not even in the next 5 years. But in the future, right? So, but hey, what you're gonna do if you're a junior developer? You will wait for the next 10 years, so there is no code. You need to work with what you have. So, how software development will shift? Well, I think for a while, I don't know if you guys have been feeling this, but now everything seems to be glitch. Like Windows, have more updates than usual. I'm a gamer, for example. I game on PC, and you used to have NVIDIA graphic card updates. Only when a big bug was happening, or a big feature, or a new AAA game. But now all of a sudden you have like this patches, like hotfix. Oh, we need to fix this. Oh, there is a big hotfix here. Every 2 weeks, every week. That's crazy. I think that there will be a lapse of time that will last for the next year at the very least, because there are a lot of companies, especially smaller companies, that still trying to live the dream. Oh, okay, we are saving a lot of money we just let the AI do everything, and we just cut expenses, or move these people to other roles or whatever. I think software will become glitch all around. And I say the word glitch just for my fellow, gamers to understand, but buggy. It will be buggy because there are a lot of companies still, there are a lot of companies that just today they have their very first contract with Copilot, and then all of a sudden they start to play with the models. And when you take, and believe me on this, I put my own hands in the fire on this. When you take any model that you as an enthusiast in AI think is, very great and infallible, and you put it in an extreme situation in an enterprise level, you better know what you're doing, because it will fail in very, very small things. It will be great in the majority of stuff, but that very small thing can absolutely cost your job. So I think the software will be glitch. you will feel like a lot of updates. Windows, all of a sudden my screen is black, and then I have a new update and my phone just restarted because we are playing with the AI and where we are slowly understanding it's not infallible and it's not ready for some stuff, at least yet. And then after that year, so we will become even faster to create. We will have a lot of people trying to do. There will be a lot of people trying to study more computer science, and we will have a bigger, amount of people trying to compete for our positions, and it will be good. It will be nice. There will be more software, more, a lot of GitHub repo written by cloud, and so on and so on. And in the future, maybe in the next decade, I wrote something once that I still go by it. The code will disappear entirely in the future. So.
Well, that last little bit, there was a lot of, to me, there's a lot of AI exposing the cracks right there is where all the glitches come and all the bugs start flooding out because you're spinning up the cycles, and more often you're going to see, if you release more often, you're going to probably, because we've always done that, you're going to release more bugs. And so it's just going to feed the beast, as it were. You mentioned your article and some of the things you do. What are some of the best ways for people to reach out and contact you, maybe to read that article or to just ask you questions about your journey?
Yeah, so I do have a personal newsletter, but if you go there, you will, my last article in that newsletter was about .NET 8, and we are in .NET 10 now. And that just was the last it's just 2 years old. That's how fast we're moving, right? But you definitely, you can go to f5run.com, and that's my personal newsletter that I'm working in revamping. One of the steps that I'm taking in revamping my own newsletter is, to share this podcast and this opportunity that I'm having with you guys, which I'm thankful for. So again, thank you for having me here. I appreciate a lot about that, and to be helpful. If I can be helpful and change the mindset of one student, I did my job. Just one student. So because that one student will make sure that I can game in my computer without my game being buggy. So so you can find me in f5run.com. You can subscribe and chat with me through there. You can go to my LinkedIn page. I think there will be maybe in YouTube or something. You will put the URL, but it will it's linkedin.com/SammyCode is, I'm not entirely sure that the username. I will need to double check, but I think it's LinkedIn/SammyCode. If not, we're going to be sharing the URL. But definitely, if you go to LinkedIn, I like to chat with people, especially with people passing, with this imposter syndrome, any story that you want to share, and to create new connections. We have these models that now they are in competition, directly competition with us, especially for companies that still, haven't seen some of the cracks going in production. So when that happened, we need connections nowadays more than ever. People that know other people that know. And a lot of positions are not on Indeed or your usual page. It's just people telling the manager where I work, hey, I know this guy. This guy knows this stuff. You better hear about him. And they all of a sudden they will ask for a resume or something. So connections are really great. I like connections. If you want to take a coffee with me or something, you can go to my LinkedIn page. You can go to my newsletter and subscribe. And yeah, we can chat a bit. Absolutely.
Sounds good. Yes, we will definitely have links in the show notes. I want to say thank you so much for your time, for hanging out. This has been a really fun conversation. I think there's a lot think a lot of the developers in the audience will feel a lot of similar situations they've been in, or some things that they will have to look forward to as they grow their careers. For those of you listening, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you hanging out with us and helping yourselves become better developers. And go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And for our bonus, I was just wondering, like, as a parting thought, what would be, I think a great one would be, what would be one thing you would recommend to developers coming up, a way to make themselves more valuable with their careers as they're moving forward?
So more valuable with their career. I think we need to go back if you study computer science or even any engineer path, you will have a teacher or a professor. Somebody have told you in our career, the most important thing is to be able to solve problems. And we just take this advice like, oh, that's something the professor says or senior developer says, and it's just a cliche say. No, you're actually paid to be able to solve problems. That's your expertise. Your expertise is not C sharp, it's not C++, it's not Java, it's not JavaScript, it's not React, it's not even .NET. Although I say that my expertise is .NET, but it's not even .NET. It's the ability that you have to impact the client by solving their problems. I think in the history, the best paid positions are the positions that are able to solve problems. That's why doctors, medical people wins a lot of money, because they are solving a very important problem, your health. So I think once you realize your job is to be able to solve problems, then a tool that can write code is not actually that impressive. So if you make problem solving your craft, not exactly the tool, but problem solving, how you understand problem. You can even take tutorials about this. Like how you used to take tutorials about your favorite language. There are tutorials about different approach of how to solve problems. If you become a better problem solver, you will have a job. It doesn't matter the AI. I think that's the best advice that you can give to a younger person to prepare themselves to the future. Absolutely.
That is awesome. That is one of those. That's why we stick around for this, and we have the bonus portion here for the YouTube listeners and watchers. I think that was more than worth it for them to hang out and get this little bonus nugget, as it were. I agree 100%. Often we'll focus on that as well for my career. Is that it's about problem solving. It's not about the technology, because as you mentioned, technology is going to change. So thank you so much for your time, for imparting your wisdom, and definitely not an imposter. There's a lot of great information you got there. I'm glad to have heard about your career. If there's anything we can do helping you moving forward, definitely reach out and let us know. We will send you links when this is ready. Feel free to share wherever you want. And other than that, I think thanks so much. Appreciate you, and have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.